Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
How good it is for us all to be together. We are celebrating Shabbat. We are marking time. We are marking not only this day of pause and repose and rest from the everyday, the Yom Chol, but also we are acknowledging that this Shabbat is even more special than others, especially for Lily and her family as she becomes a bat mitzvah. If this is your first time joining us at Congregation Beth Israel, welcome. If this is not your first time at Congregation Beth Israel, welcome back. We will be using our prayer book, Mishkan Tefillah, which is either in the seats in front of you or on the carts outside. The prayers that we are going to be saying together, that we will be singing together, the words will also be on our screens above. If you're joining us through our virtual community on YouTube, welcome. We're so glad to have you, and the words will be on the screen for you as well. For our opening song, Hine Matov U'Manaim, Shevet Achim Gam Yachad, how good it is when we can dwell together, we'd like to call Lily up with Sophia Hughes.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
There are many privileges and responsibilities that a young person takes on when they turn 13 years and one day. And you may see a little part of this in the congregation and on the bima as we are wearing Tallitot, our prayer shawls. These prayer shawls, different colors, different shapes, certainly different lengths and sizes, are part of our tradition. And what this tradition reminds us of is the 613 commandments that we're asked to try and do. These fringes, there are 4 of them that are tied with knots and wraps, add up to 613, and we do our best to do commandments every day. So one of the things that our students do when they come here, before they read Torah, before they lead us in prayer, is to be given a prayer shawl to be given this Tallit. And this Tallit comes to Lily from her parents and from her sister with a lot of love. So we invite you up, Karen and Eric and Rose, to bring Lily to the bima.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav l'hitatef b'tzitzit.
Speech time. Okay. All right. Are you ready to see your father cry? Lily, when you were a little girl, one of my favorite books to read to you was called On the Night You Were Born. And we still have it in the hallway, which was kind of a surprise. And there's an epigraph at the beginning of the book that has been rattling around in my head as I've thought about what I want to say to you today. And it's a short passage from Psalms, which are a collection of poems that have significance in the faith tradition of my family and the faith tradition of your mom's family. And the epigraph more or less says this, Lily. It says, "You are fearlessly and wonderfully made." I've known this since before you were born. A couple of months after we learned that we were pregnant with you, we had a scare that sent us to the emergency room. We were two nervous, soon-to-be parents, grappling with all the worry and anxiety that I've come to learn more or less defines parenting. And at some point, after a lot of waiting, the ultrasound technician came in and started to look to see if you were okay. And eventually he found a little flash of energy in the void. It was your little heartbeat, a beacon of hope and light, a sign and a wonder. It was then that I knew something that has only been confirmed since, Lily. You have a brave and strong heart. I saw it on a camping trip, one of our first, when you went in front of a group of dads and belted out "You Are My Sunshine" with improvised lyrics in front of a bunch of strangers. I've seen it in every one of your acting roles since you were Rafiki, and from there, I see it in your fearlessness to try new things, sometimes after a little or a lot of coaxing from me. Rock climbing, surfing, cliff jumping into the ocean, acting, zip lining, or learning a dance routine and performing it before another group of more or less complete strangers in just a few hours. And while your bravery and your fearlessness delight me every time I see it, I can't say I'm surprised. And why is that? Because you descend from two long lines of fearless and wonderful women. Pioneers, immigrants, matriarchs, college graduates, mothers, real estate moguls, educators, sisters, lawyers, doctors, aunts, scientists, caregivers, nurses, grandmothers, artists, healers, champion athletes, cousins, philanthropists, great-grandmothers, scholars, friends, fighters, and all of them mensches. Never forget that, Lily, because in a lot of ways, today marks a turning point when life gets more complex. Your problems will get a little bit bigger and messier, and you won't always have a parent or even want a parent there to help. People will underestimate you because you're small or because you're a girl. And when they do, remember the generations of fearless and wonderful women whose heart you carry. Lily, I have loved going on this journey with you as you've worked so hard over the past years to prepare for today. Thank you for bringing me with you, for teaching me about Judaism, for teaching me the prayer that I'll say with your mom, and for your sense of humor and hard work about it all. Through you, I've learned so much about the Jewish religion and what it means to have the particular honor of becoming a bat mitzvah at Congregation Beth Israel. Through all of this, I've learned that Judaism has a prayer for everything, for every event. And I look forward to learning more of those prayers with you and your sister as we grow as a family in this faith. And I'd also like to offer a prayer of thanksgiving for the fearless and wonderful woman who I met in a hallway in Harlem almost 20 years ago, who has given me 2 beautiful daughters and a lifetime of smiles and happiness. Lily, thank you for bringing singing into our lives. Thank you for all the wonderful and beautiful music you have filled our house with. And so I will end with a little fatherly advice. Lily, when times are good, and especially when times are bad, just keep singing. I love you.
I love you too.
Yes. I should have gone first. Okay. Lily. I always tell my students they don't need to title their essays, but I'm titling this one. We're going to call it I Remember. Before you were born, I received a lot of advice. But for the purpose of this speech, I'm going to focus on one in particular. Write everything down. I remember thinking, won't I just remember all the amazing things our baby is bound to do? All these incredible milestones and moments, how could we possibly forget? Needless to say, I realized very quickly that as big and unforgettable as each moment was, it was quickly replaced with another equally or more momentous one. And so we kept a large blank piece of paper on the fridge called I Remember, a place where we could quickly jot things down as they happened. And each year on your birthday, we took it down, read it to you, stashed it away in the baby book, and started with a new blank slate on the fridge. I'm looking at all these as I wrote this speech, and I'm so grateful for the advice, and also very teary. I remember how you would take a giant Supergirl stretch lying on my lap every time you finished eating, how singing the greatest American hero theme song made you smile no matter what, the way you fell asleep so peacefully on Daddy's left shoulder every night, your total obsession with buckles. Nana would tell us, I want to take her outside to play, but she just wants to learn all the buckles in the house. Well, it paid off, because when we were at preschool at the JCC, I was so smug in that parking lot, people struggling to get their kids in the back seat, I would just hop in the driver's seat and off we'd go. Then there was the miracle table, and the way you'd stand at it endlessly, belting along to the ABCs and dancing up and down to the music. Your obsession with Dora, My Little Pony, Ladybug Girl, Frozen, Ariel, farm animals, Harry Potter, and so on. And then there are the ones that I don't need the I Remember notes for. The way, this is where it gets hard. The way you took on your big sister role from the moment Rose was born. How you lied on the floor with her every day after school to teach her the words to let it go. How you trained and tracked her tummy time progress. How you sat in the bathtub and taught her every single one of her letters over and over till she could say them without saying first. We have video. Your love of reading, your fearlessness, your memory. You could recite every person in your class in preschool in alphabetical order. And when I couldn't remember what we needed from the store, I would just text Natalia, and she would always know. Blueberries, Band-Aids, you always knew. Okay. And of course, your unwavering sense of right and wrong. I told Rabbi Navarez the story of Harry Potter World at our first speech meeting and promised I wouldn't tell it here, so I won't. Lily, you have amazed us since you were a very little girl. We still can't beat you at memory matching, and you still have to remind me to make every orthodontist appointment. So now let's talk about theater, the thing that fills your heart with the greatest joy. I remember when you fell in love with the stage. You were 4 and cast as Rafiki in your first of many productions of The Lion King. I remember practicing your lines every night and every morning before camp. The question is, who are you? You are a baboon and I am not. I still remember them. I also remember how nervous you were because you had to go out on stage all by yourself and alone. You were so nervous. What if I fall? What if I trip? What if I forget my lines? But you didn't. And you fell in love with the stage and the spotlight. From there, it was Simba, Ursula, the Banks kids, and then, of course, the moment you were old enough, J Company. I remember you came home from that first rehearsal at the Wiz and begged us to audition for the next one. We couldn't say no, and here we are, almost 6 years and 14 plus shows later. I guess it was good we didn't say no. Lily, we love watching the joy you exude on stage as a munchkin squirrel, a spoiled child, a revolting child, and of course, an old lady. And we love hearing you sing, even if we often have to ask you to lower the volume, all hours, all times of the day, everywhere. It is a very good thing that Rose is a deep sleeper. Who can argue with joy? I remember this spring just getting ready to go to the OTT concert, and you started belting. I expected Sondheim, but instead it was Torah trope. I looked at Daddy and smiled and said, this is going in the speech. There have been a zillion I remembers from the day you were born until now, and all the moments that brought us here, finding our wonderful community at CBI, attending, not quite as often as you should have, religious school, singing in the choir, bat mitzvah boot camp, raising money for your mitzvah project, and all the beautiful cards you designed for the children at Rady's, and of course, training with our cherished clergy. Thank you all so much. My head is swimming with emotions and pride for all you have accomplished, but more importantly, for who you are as our daughter, a big sister, a devoted student, a patient teacher, and an inclusive and loyal friend. Thank you for all the beach walks, all the perfect black rocks and shells, the birthday serenades, volleyball rallies, baked goods, and all the conversations, even the hard ones. The TikTok hacks and dance routines, mani-pedis, Starbucks runs, picnics, and all the snuggles. While there are so many more things I want to say, I will stop here and thank you for always being you. You give everything you have to everything you do and to everyone you love, and there is no one else I ever want you to be. So today, as you become a bat mitzvah, please know, I could not be more proud of you. I love you with all of my heart, and always remember, don't ever let anyone dull your sparkle. I love you.
My speech is much shorter. Lily, I can't believe you're having your bat mitzvah today. I am so proud of you. I remember when I was little, you helped me learn so much, like the alphabet, reading, addition, and subtraction. You're one of my biggest role models, and I am so lucky to be your little sister. Even though we fight sometimes, I will always love you so much. I can't believe you are becoming a woman. I know you've been excited for this day for forever, and I can't believe it's actually happening. You'll always take care of me and help me throughout my life. You'll always play games with me whenever I ask and always stand up for me. When it's a rough day, I know you'll help me get through it. You are the best sister in the world. Whenever I see you do something, I want to do that and follow you because I want to be like you. You are kind, loving, caring, brave, artistic, fun, funny, and cool. I'm so excited to do Fiddler on the Roof with you and be sisters in and out of the show. You will always be the best sister I could ever have in life. Mazel tov. I love you.
May the door of this synagogue be wide enough to receive all who hunger for love, all who are lonely for friendship. May it welcome all who have cares to unburden, thanks to express, hopes to nurture. May the door of this synagogue be narrow enough to shut out pettiness and pride, envy and enmity. May its threshold be no stumbling block to young or straying feet. May it be too high to admit complacency, selfishness, and harshness. May this synagogue be, for all who enter, the doorway to a richer and more meaningful life. We pray responsively the Psalms of Ashrei on page 220. Ashrei Oshrei Veitecha, Odila Hallelujah Selah.
Ashrei ha'am shekach lo, Ashrei ha'am sh'Adonai Elohav.
Tehillah leDavid, Aramimcha Elohai HaMelech, Ve'avarcha Shimcha le'olam va'ed.
Bechol yom avarchecha,
ועלה שמך לעולם ועד.
גדול אדוני ומלוא מאוד, ולגדולתו אין חקר.
דור לדור ישבח מעשיך, וגבורתך יגידו.
הדר כבוד הודיך, ודברי נפלאותיך עשיך.
וזוז נורותיך יאמרו, וגדולתך אספרנה.
זכר רב טובך יביעו, וצדקתך ירננו.
חנון ורחום אדוני, ערך אפיים וגדול חסד.
טוב אדוני לכל, ורחמיו על כל מעשיו.
יודוך אדוני כל מעשיך, וחסידיך יברכוך.
כבוד מלכותך יאמרו, וגבורתך ידברו.
להודיע לבני אדם גבורותיו, וכבוד הדר מלכותו.
מלכותך מלכות כל עולמים, וממשלתך בכל דור ודור.
סומך אדוני לכל הנופלים, וזוקף לכל הכפופים.
עיניך אליך יסבבו, ואתה נותן להם את אוכלם בעיתו.
פותח את ידיך, ומשביע לכל חי רצון.
צדיק אדוני בכל דרכיו, וחסיד בכל מעשיו.
קרוב אדוני לכל קורב, לכל אשר יקראו באמת.
רצון יראיו יעשה, ואת שבתם ישמע ויושיעם.
שומר אדוני את כל אוהביו, ואת כל הרשעים ישמיד.
תהילת אדוני ידבר פי, ויברך כל בשר, שם קודשו לעולם ועד.
ואנחנו נברך יה, מעתה ועד עולם. Hallelujah.
Please rise if you are able for our tefillah on page 226.
Adonai, Sevatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, Sevatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Oh God, open up my lips as I begin to pray. Oh God, open up my lips as I begin to pray. Sevatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Zocher Hasdei Avot v'Imahot, U'Mebih Geulah Livnei Bneihem, למען שמו ויהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה, רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ברופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמנת להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, כך כתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר,
קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא הארץ, כבודו.
אדיר אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ.
ברוך כבוד אדוני במקומו.
אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא גשמינו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי.
אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם, אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור. הללויה.
לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ונצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, בשבחך אלוהינו, מפינו לא ימוש, לעולם ועד.
ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Please be seated and turn to page 233. And who is wise? The one who learns from everyone. And who is mighty? One who controls one's urges. And who is rich? One who is happy with what one has. We pray responsively on page 235. For the good in us, which calls us to a better life, we give thanks.
For the strength to improve the world with our hearts and hands, we give praise.
For the peace in us, which leads us to work for peace, we are grateful.
For the gift of Shabbat, which renews us for life, we offer blessing. Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh HaShabbat.
Please turn to page 236. Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu, v'amecha Yisrael, ותפילתם באהבה תקבל. ותהי לרצון תמיד עבודת ישראל עמך. אל קרוב לכל קרב, פני אל עבדיך וחננו, שפוך רוחך עלינו. ותחזינה עינינו בשובך לציון ברחמים. ברוך אתה אדוני המחזיר שכינתו לציון. Please turn to page 238. מודים אנחנו לך, שאתה הוא אדוני אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו ואמותינו לעולם ועד. צור חיינו מגן נשענו, אתה הוא לדור ודור. נודה לך ונספר תהילתך על חיינו המסורים בידיך ועל נשמותינו הפקודות לך. ועל ניסיך שבכל יום עמנו ועל נפלותיך וטובותיך שבכל עת ערב ובוקר בצהרי. הטוב כי לא עלו רחמך והמרחם כי לא תמו חסדיך מעולם קיווינו לך. ועל כולם יתברך ויתרומם שמך מלכנו תמיד לעולם ועד. וכל החיים יודוך סלה. והללו את שמך באמת, האל ישועתנו ועזרתנו סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, הטוב שמך, ולך נאה להודות. Please join us in singing our prayer for peace, Shalom Rav, on page 240.
Shalom Rav, Israel Amcha, Tazim Leolam. Shalom Rav, Israel Amcha, Tazim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon, lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tazim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael, Tazim leolam. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום על ישראל, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
We take a few moments for silent reflection.
shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel ve'imeru amen.
We have arrived at the moment where Lily not only takes her place as an adult in our community, as a service leader, but as someone in our community who not only learns from, but shares our Torah, our sacred scroll. We are taught that Moses received the Torah on Mount Sinai. And Moses received the Torah, but didn't hold on to it for very long because he taught it to the next generation, and the next generation taught it to the next generation. And each successive generation has passed the Torah down until we have arrived at this moment, as Lily's family places the Torah into her arms. Seder Kriyat Torah, the order for reading our Torah, can be found on page 246. We'll invite the congregation to please rise as Lily's parents and grandparents come up as we pass the Torah through the generations.
כי מציון תצא תורה, כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. ברוך שנתן Torah, Torah, Baruch Shenatan, Torah, Torah, Le'amo Yisrael, B'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Gadlul Adonai iti, u'leromema shema yachdav. Lecha Adonai hagedula והגבורה והתפארת, השם נצח וההוד. כי הוא בשמיים ובארץ, הוא בשמיים ובארץ. אדוני הממלכה והעמיד נעשה לכל לראש. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להקודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו והשתחוו להקודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו. רוממו כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו. רוממו.
Shabbat Shalom to everyone on this beautiful San Diego Shabbat afternoon as we are entering into the central section of our service, or Seder Kriyat of Torah. In our Torah, this week when we read on Shabbat afternoons, we're already anticipating the following week. We're grasping at it. We're hoping that we hold on to the beauty of what Shabbat means, to lishbot, to stop, to pause, and then we're also anticipating what's yet to be. So Lily's reading actually comes from next week's portion, because on Shabbat afternoon we're already looking towards that time. And we're in the book of Deuteronomy. For those of us of a certain age, it's the Cliff's Notes of Torah. And for those, maybe Spark Notes is more familiar to you. But the idea is that it's a culmination. It's a summation mostly by Moses, preparing the Israelites to enter the promised land without him. And in this particular Torah portion, Lily is going to incite us because she has done a fantastic, marvelous job at dissecting this Torah portion and really giving her own flavor and interpretation of it. But just some brief understandings. We understand that Moses pleads with God to let him enter the land of Israel with the people, but God refuses once more. And there's something very important in this Torah portion that we're reading today. It comes from the first verse of chapter 4, where we first hear God say, V'ata Yisrael Shema. Not Shema in the sense of Shema Yisrael, Adonai is our God, Adonai is one, but listen. Lishmoa in Hebrew means to listen, to pay heed, to focus, to pay attention. To pay attention to the things that you have to know in order to enter into the promised land. You're not going to get there. You're not going to survive. You're not going to be able to make it as a community unless you're really listening. And what does it mean for each of us in this moment to listen, to take heed of the things around us, of the world around us, of the challenges that stir around us? In theater, what does it mean to do our part, to know our words, to know the structure of the actions that we're about to take on stage? What does that mean? All of it is encompassing of this week's Torah portion. A Torah portion that discusses the covenants, the Aseret Dibrot, the Ten Commandments, which you're going to learn about in a moment. It's going to tell us much more than we possibly can imagine in 1 week's portion. But at the end of it, it all comes down to Shema. What does it mean to really hear and heed that call? And whatever that call may be for each of us. So one of the beautiful things about reading Torah, as Lily will do in a moment, is that we have honors for family members to come up and have an aliyah, to ascend to the Torah, to join in prayer and honor in reading. And we have a number of aliyot from Lily's family. All the readings and the blessings can be found on the screens for those of you in the sanctuary this afternoon. For those of you online, it is right on your screen in front of you. And for our first aliyah of the Torah, I delight in calling upon Stephen, Lenore, and Ruth Asbel.
Ya'amdu Tzvi Moshe ben Shlomo Zalman, Leah Michal bat Yehuda Avraham, Rachel Leanne bat Yeshaya v'Fredel Harishon.
Baruch et Adonai Barach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Barach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Uvikashtem misham et Adonai Elohecha umatzata ki tidrishenu bechol levavcha uvchol nafshecha batzar lecha umetzaucha kol hadvarim ha'ele be'acharit hayamim beshavta ad Adonai Elohecha beshamata bekolo ki el rahum Adonai Elohecha lo yarbecha velo yashchitecha velo yishkach et brit avotecha asher nishba lahem.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet b'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten HaTorah.
Amen.
For secondly, I delight in calling upon Nathan, Judy, and Susie Ilitsky.
Ya'amdu Naftali ben Aharon Leb, Yehuda bat Yaakov Yehudit, Shoshana bat Yehudit Hasheni.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Nebachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'notan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ki she'alna le'amim rishonim asher hayu lefanecha lemin hayom asher bara Elohim Adam al haaretz u'lemiksei hashamayim ve'agitsei hashamayim hanihya kadavar hagadol hazeh o hanishma kamohu hashama Kol Elohim medaber mitoch ha'esh kasher shamata ata vayechi oh hanisa Elohim lavo lakachat lo goy mikerev goy b'masot be'otot u'b'movtim u'b'milchama Ubiyad chazaka, ubizro anetuya, ubmoraim gedolim kechol. Asher asa lachem, Adonai Elohechem.
la'einecha.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam notah b'socheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
For our third Aliyah, delighting calling upon Karen and Eric.
Yamdu Yishaya Leah bat Yehudit Hashlishi.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ata horet aladat ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim ein od milvado min hashamayim hishmecha et kolo leasreka ve'al ha'aretz heracha et isho Havdalah udvarav shamata mitoch ha'esh v'tachat ki ahav et avotecha vayivchar bazaro acharav ve'yotziecha be'panav ve'chocho hagadol me'mitzrayim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'hayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
And for the blessing and reading of our fourth Aliyah, I delight in calling upon our Bat Mitzvah, Lily Samantha Rudin Johnson.
Ta'amod, 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 Shoshana Fredel bat Yishaya Leda, Bachura had bat mitzvah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Lehorish goyim gedolim ve'atzumim mimecha mipanecha lehaviecha leted lecha et artzam nachala kayom hazeh ve'yadata hayom ve'hashavota el levavecha ki Adonai hu Elohim bashamayim mima'al ve'al ha'aretz mitachat ein od ve'shamarta et chukav ve'en mitzvotav asher anochi mitzavecha hayom asher yitav lecha uvanecha acharecha uma'an ta'arich yamim al ha'adama asher Adonai Elohecha noten lecha kol hayamim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
And when we reach a new moment of joy and blessing in our tradition, we say the words of Shechianu, and so we join together.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu
time, I'd like to call upon Eric, Gail Johnson, and Axel Johnson to help lift and dress our Torah. As we continue and as we hold the Torah, I invite you to please rise as a congregation if you are able.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה יא לה 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 יא לה 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 יא לה 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 יא לה 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 Ya la la la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la.
We come to the conclusion, actually, of the Torah reading, which literally is called Haftarah. And the Haftarah, as well as the Torah portion, also anticipates next week's Sabbath. That Sabbath is called Shabbat Nachamu, the Sabbath of comfort, because after the destruction of the temple, which we commemorate beginning tonight and other difficult times in our history, we go to what's called Sheva Denechemta, 7 weeks of comfort, of Haftarot that come from the prophet Isaiah. And Isaiah, as you know, was a prolific writer, and these words bring comfort to us. The opening says, Nachamu, Nachamu Ami, comfort ye my people. Speak tenderly to Jerusalem and say to her that she has served her term. And many of you, of course, know this in all of our traditions. And Lily is going to chant part of this Haftarah now, framed by blessings.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar bin v'im tovim v'ratza b'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai Habocher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdo uv'Yisrael amo uv'Nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. Halo tedeu, halo tishma'u, halo hu God nevrosh lachem, halo havinotem mosdot haaretz hayoshev al chut haaretz v'yoshveha kacharavim hanoten chadok shamayim vayimtachem ka'ohel lashavet hanoten roznim le'ayin Shoftei eretz, katohu asa, af banitau, af balzorau, af balshoresh ba'aretz, gizam, vegam nashaf bahem, vayivatsu, usara, kakash tishaem, ve'elmi tedamuni, Ve'eshve Yomar Kadosh Se'umar from Enechem or Mivara Ele Hamotzi Bamispar Tseva lechulam b'shem yikra merovonim ve'amit koach ish lo nedar. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzor kol ha'olamim tzadik b'chol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer ve'oseh hamdaber u'mkayem shekol devarav emet v'tzedek al ha'torah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al hanvi'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu Likdushat v'limilcha lechavod ultifaretz al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umbarchim otach yitbarach shimcha befi kol chai tamid le'olam va'ed baruch ata Adonai mekadesh hashabbat.
Amen. This time I'd like to call upon Rose to open up the ark doors as we continue singing together. It's Chaim Ki, returning the Torah to the ark. I invite you to rise if you're able.
It's Chaim Hi lama chazikim ba v'tomcheha meushar deracheha darchenam v'chol netivotecha shalom hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva chadesh yamenu chadesh yamenu kekedem.
Please be seated.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you for coming out here today. I'm so happy all of you are with me as I become a bat mitzvah. My Torah portion is Ve'et Hanan, which means and I beg or and I pleaded. This is the first thing that happens in the Torah portion. Moses begs God to let him into Israel, but God says no. Then Moses instructs the Israelites to listen and obey the laws that they were given by God. Later, certain areas are set up for people who accidentally commit homicide and are exiled from their home. They remember the covenant at Sinai and the 10 Commandments, and once more are reminded to follow the laws. Moses says the Shema and tells the Israelites to show their love for God by following God's laws. Last, Moses warns the Israelites to avoid idolatry of the other nations they plan to conquer. Wow, that's a lot for one Torah portion, but it all comes down to one main theme: how to love God. Ve'et Hanan includes the Shema, 10 Commandments, and Ve'ahavta, which all tie back to that same theme. Shema declares that Adonai is the only God and that Adonai is one. Shema is always followed with Ve'ahavta, a prayer that says you shall love your God, Adonai, with all of your heart. I'm interested in this theme because it's too easy to go about our daily lives without ever thinking about God and Judaism unless we're in a synagogue or specifically praying. So, how do we find and love God in our daily lives? It is traditionally said that we love God by following the mitzvot given to us by God. Although I believe it would be impossible to follow every single one perfectly our whole lives, overall, I agree that following the rules set down for us by God shows love and respect towards God. For example, in my Torah portion, it is stated that as a Jew, you should hang a mezuzah on the doorpost of your house. This is a great way to show love towards God because seeing a mezuzah every time you enter your house reminds you of your Judaism.
hence keeping God in your life. Another set of mitzvot in my Torah portion are the 10 Commandments. They are, do not have any other gods, do not make or worship idols, do not disrespect or misuse God's name, remember the Sabbath and keep it holy, honor your mother and father, do not commit murder, do not commit adultery, do not steal, do not tell lies, and do not be envious of others. The 10 Commandments are another great example of a simple way to love God. They are also basically a rule book for being a Jew. As Jews, we only worship one God instead of idols, use Adonai's name respectfully, and celebrate Shabbat. Even more importantly, as people, we should respect our parents and we shouldn't steal, lie, commit murder, act upon jealousy unkindly, or commit adultery, because those things are plain wrong, not just for Jews, but for everyone. By doing these things, we can prevent letting God slip away as we go through the motions of our daily lives. While studying for my bat mitzvah, I found a special connection to my Torah portion and bat mitzvah. I was born on a Thursday. On the Shabbat the week I was born, here, at Beth Israel, and around the world, Va'et Hanan was read. Additionally, I learned about a special connection to my Hebrew birthday. My birthday is July 30th, or 9 of 5769. Fun fact, today is 9 of 5782, meaning that my Hebrew birthday is today, the same day that I'm celebrating my bat mitzvah on, which I found so meaningful. I also learned a lot about the book of Deuteronomy. The whole book is a retelling of everything that has happened during the Torah, and in the 40 years the Israelites wandered the desert in preparation for entering Israel. It's basically a giant summary of everything that has gone on so far. Moses constantly reminds the Israelites to follow the 10 Commandments as a way of loving God. And, even better, we can still follow the 10 Commandments to show our love for God. For my Mitzvah project, I decided to help people in need, just like the Torah instructs. To be specific, children with cancer. I raise money for children who are being treated by Rady Children's Hospital. Additionally, I wrote letters for those kids. It has always made me extremely sad knowing that there are kids who are in a hospital right now, not able to go to school or play with their friends like average kids. I cannot imagine what that would be like, but to help, I decided to fundraise and give those children a letter to read to bring a smile to their faces. Now, for possibly the most important part, the famous thank yous. To begin, I would like to thank Rabbi Navarez for helping me write this speech. Yes, the one you're listening to right now. At first, this speech seemed so huge and complicated, but you broke it down and made sure I understood every part of it. Next, I would like to thank Rabbi Cantor Bernstein. First, a little story. This year, I really wanted to go back to Camp Mountain High, a 2-week sleepaway camp. Hesitantly, my parents agreed, but worried because I would get back only 3 weeks before my bat mitzvah. You reassured them and set me up to be able to practice and only have to learn one more prayer. Because of that, I was able to finish tutoring stress-free at camp. You made sure I learned every aliyah, blessing, and word exactly right. Thank you for always being patient with me when I would struggle with the same thing over and over and when I would forget to practice. You are the reason I know everything I need to for today, and I couldn't have done it without you. I also want to thank Rabbi Gimbel for that beautiful service today and for all the amazing years of choir. I have to say, it really helped with bat mitzvah prep. I also cannot forget Andy Mayer and Heidi Gantwork. Thank you for the uplifting music. It really made this service so special. I would also like to give a huge shout out to all of my friends who are here today and have supported me on the journey. Even when I was stressed, you were always there for me. Thank you. And of course, I cannot go any farther without thanking my incredible sister, Rose. You put up with me through thick and thin. You always make me smile, and you really help this process be much more joyful. I love you so much, and I can't wait to see you up here in 4 years. And last, but most certainly not least, I would like to thank my parents. Mom, you drove all of our creation, even with $6 and more gas prices, to get me to where I needed to be, no matter what. I love our walks on the beach and conversations and all of our fun together. You endlessly support me and are there for me. Dad, you are always there to brighten my day and check in on me. I loved updating you on car rides to school and talking on walks. I always know I will have so much fun and laughs with you, from surfing to swimming to vacations and more. You bring so much joy and laughter into my life. I love you both so much, and I don't know what I'd do without you. And finally, thank you all so much for being here to celebrate this momentous occasion in my life. You mean so much to me, and I wouldn't be here without each and every one of you. And once again, I'm so grateful to have you with me today. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Simon Tov and Mazel Tov and Mazel Tov and Simon Tov, Simon Tov and Mazel Tov and Mazel Tov and Simon Tov, Simon Tov and Mazel Tov and Mazel Tov and Simon Tov, Yehelanu. Simon Tov and Mazel Tov and Mazel Tov and Simon Tov, Simon Tov and Mazel Tov and Mazel Tov and Simon Tov, Simon Tov and Mazel Tov and Mazel Tov and Simon Tov, Yehelanu. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, Yehelanu, Ulecho Yisrael. Simon Tov and Mazel Tov and Mazel Tov and Simon Tov, Simon Tov and Mazel Tov and Mazel Tov and Simon Tov, Simon Tov and Mazel Tov and Mazel Tov and Simon Tov, Yehelanu.
Lily, wow. I know you're a little shy, and this is new to you being in the public square.
True.
And it's very true. And not only did you amaze us today as you do, you amaze us every day in who you are, what you accomplish, and what you stand for as a young Jewish woman today. I think Dad, especially, both your parents and Rose spoke so beautifully of you today, but they talked about the incredible matriarchs that you descend from. And I kept thinking of you, and I kept thinking of the idea coming up to this week. I kept thinking about the idea of power and what that means. And not power as in I have all the power and I have, the right to do A, B, C, D, but I have power, I have agency. And I'm thinking, and once I heard those words from your family about who you descend from, it makes a lot of sense, because they're incredible, powerful individuals, and especially women in your lives. And as I was thinking about this idea of power, I was on the Peloton, and you get inspired by lots of different things. I get inspired by Torah every week, or different rabbinic teachings of sages, but I got inspired by my guru, Rabban Arson, who some of you may know. And Rabban Arson talks about power a lot, and she said this week, when I was writing, she said, when you get to your power, mediocrity doesn't taste so good anymore. I want to say that again. When you get to your power, mediocrity doesn't taste so good anymore. And I immediately thought of you. I said, this is Lily. Mediocrity doesn't work for you. And it's not that you have to be perfect, but it's that you want to ascend. You want to be on stage. You want to share your truth. You want to lead. You want to do. And that is the gift that we see in the Shoshana. The Shoshana, the lily, now rose in modern Hebrew, right? But the idea of how you continue to invent and reinvent yourself each and every day and year of your life. Through all the things that you do, through your singing, your dancing, your surfing, right? We know that. Through all the things, through giving and giving and giving, the way you are an incredible big sister, your traveling, youth choir, and your angelic voice that you bring to us all the time, and your incredible acting at JCO, which I have had the privilege to see you in many performances. You are a gift. And it's not only just about being talented and amazing as you are, but it's how does your neshama, how does your soul seep through those elements that you involve yourself in each and every day and transcend to your power, so that mediocrity doesn't become your status quo, but it becomes something you always want to achieve. When I see you, I always think, okay, Lily's here today. Tomorrow I know she's going to be here, and then she's going to be here, and then she's going to be here. Because I think authentically you want to do that, not just for yourself. You want to do that in service of others, to be there for your community, to be there for your friends and your family and your loved ones. That's the gift that we always hope. In this world, there are so many smart people, but we're missing some more kind, thoughtful, authentic people. And you are that Eshes Chayil, that woman of valor that I believe will help transcend not only our Jewish community, but those that come after you as well. I really believe you'll continue to model what it means to be the best of what we can offer in our tradition. So may you go forth from this day proud and high on these experiences, but know your power, know your agency and your worth as a young Jewish woman in this world, because you are just beginning, and you have given life so much to so many, and I know it will continue to transcend, and we will continue to see your gifts, God willing, for many years to come. May this be God's will, as we say, amen. And I'm going to invite my clergy colleagues to join me up here as we offer a very special blessing to you that has been passed throughout the generations. As we place our hands upon you.
Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and protect you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. May God's face shine upon you with radiance and with grace.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yisem lecha shalom. May God's presence ever be with you, Lily. May you be granted health and long life, the courage to fill it with much joy, with much blessing, and always peace. Amen.
Amen. Amen.
It's now our honor to invite Dave Kuhn, a member of our board of directors, to present you with some gifts. Fans.
Shabbat Shalom. It is a great honor for me to be here to celebrate with Lily, Rose, Karen, and Eric, your extended family and friends, and our community on this special day. I'm particularly honored to be the one from the board presenting this to you because of your friendship with my daughter, Emma. She's very sad that she couldn't be here.
We're missing her.
Yeah. Every community is a collection of smaller communities with connections between those smaller communities. Since joining Beth Israel, I'm told that you took a look at the choir and told your parents, "That's my thing, I want to be part of that." And you have. Life for so many others, our wonderful musical community and our choir has been your gateway to our community. Thank you for contributing with our choir, but also exploring even more. I'm thrilled that you will be a Madrachim in training this fall and work with Emma and the rest of your friends here as you teach and most importantly mentor our future B'nai Mitzvah while having fun. Finally, in an unpaid advertisement, congratulations on your role as one of Tevye's daughters in Fiddler on the Roof.
Thank you.
Come
see it.
Yes, well, and I hope for an invitation as you take your love of music and singing and take our religion and culture to the stage. I hope many of us will be able to see your performance. On this most special occasion, I'd like to present you with some gifts on becoming a Bat Mitzvah. You can probably help me tell what they all are. Yeah. The first is a certificate of Bat Mitzvah. Would you like to display for everybody? That you signed along with your parents and the clergy, noting the privileges and responsibilities of becoming a Bat Mitzvah. The next is a Kiddush cup. There you go. And candlestick holders presented by the women of Beth Israel. May you use these very special and sacred items in your home to welcome Shabbat and other special holidays and milestones. We also are presenting you with a book on the doorposts of your house, presented by the Men's Club. May this be a useful resource to you as you begin this next chapter of Jewish living. We have a tree certificate signifying a tree has been planted for you in honor of your Bat Mitzvah in Israel, and this gift certificate from Nifty, don't lose it.
I will not. I'm not losing.
Which will help you get a Nifty organized trip to Israel when the time comes. Again, Mazel Tov to you, Lily, and to your parents and to your sister. We know this is just the beginning of your Jewish journey, and of all your family at Beth Israel looks forward to having you as an active contributor to our community. Mazel Tov.
Thank you.
We begin to close this beautiful service with Aleinu L'Shabeach on page 282. Won't you please rise if you're able?
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו
standing and turn to page 294 for our mourner's Kaddish. We think of our loved ones whom have been taken from us, those who we honor, their memories always with us. Lily, we're especially thinking today of those members of your family who are not here with us and would have gained great joy in this day. Please join me. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah.
Amen.
B'alma tivrach yirteh v'yamlich malchuteh. V'chayechon v'yomechon. V'chayeh l'chol Beth Israel. V'agala u'vizman kariv v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach ve'elam ulameh almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalau. Shmei Kedusha B'richu. Le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min Shemaya. V'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom imromav. U'yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. V'imru. Amen. Zichronam livracha. May their memories always be for blessing.
Amen. Amen. We transition from our service into Havdalah. Havdalah literally means separation. We're separating Shabbat and the rest of the week. We're separating Lily's life from childhood into maturity, or at least adulthood. And we use three symbols in Havdalah which ignite all of our senses. We taste the sweet wine reminding us of the sweetness of Shabbat. We smell the spices that remind us of the sweet smells of Shabbat. We feel the candle's warmth and we see the reflection in our fingernails as we create a literal mavdil, a literal separation in our fingertips as we see the reflection in our fingers and the darkness that's created in our hands, reminding us that the power to create light or dark and bring lightness and dark into this world in the week ahead is within each of our hands. Lastly, we'll hear the sound of the candle being extinguished, and that will conclude our Havdalah ceremony. That was a lot of information. I don't expect you to remember any of it, but I do hope that you will participate with us, if only for the words, Yai Lai Lai, and we join together.
Evtah v'lo evtah המבדיל בין קודש לחול, חטאותינו ימחול. זרענו וחסדנו ירבה כחול, והכוכבים בלילה. שבוע טוב, 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 שבוע טוב. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagilati, Bimhera ve'amenu, Yavo Eleinu, Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi.
say Shavua Tov and Mazel Tov
Mazel Tov.
on this incredible milestone. I know you're going off to celebrate as well you should this incredible moment. And we join in singing together another rendition of Eliyahu as we sing out today. It wouldn't be Lily's style without giving it a little ruach, right? A little. So we got to go. So let's join together.
Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hakilad, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hakilad, Bimhera Oyavo, Elelui Mashiach, Mashiach ben David, Bimhera Oyavo, Elelui Mashiach, Mashiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagilad, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagilad, Bimhera Oyavo, Elelui Mashiach, Mashiach ben David, Bimhera Oyavo, Elelui Mashiach, Mashiach ben David.
Mazel Tov.